Hello, everybody. It is a wonderful Wednesday. Please join me. Was rushing y'all trying to get here because I had some stuff going on. I'm like, let me get up here and jump on this live. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get here in enough time, but hello, everybody. I am here. Thank you for those of you that are joining me via Facebook or YouTube. I greatly appreciate you guys being here this evening. We are going to be talking about time, you guys. Do you value your time? So, without further ado, welcome to the Mental Wellness Sanctuary. I am your host, Francis Miller, a licensed mental health therapist and mental wellness coach here in Jacksonville, Florida. For those of you guys that are still interested, I want to make this announcement. For those of you guys that are still interested in attending our my mental wellness sanctuary, I have still some spaces open. If you know of somebody that would like to come but may not be able to afford it, please let me know. Send me a message or whatever. We may be able to sponsor an individual to come. So please just let me know if you are unable to attend. You can definitely send us a message. I would love to have you guys with me. That event is going to be this Saturday. You have an option to be virtual, and you also have an option to come in person with us. So if you are interested, please let us know. That's going to be this Saturday, January the 27th, from 12 to 2. So we will start promptly on time, guys. And we will be talking about unlearning isn't for the faint of hearts. That is can be a very heavy topic because I will be challenging you guys to think about things that you may need to change in your thinking and your mindset. As I always share with you guys, awareness is the first step to change. And once we become aware of those things, then we're able to put ourselves in this position to say, okay, what are some things that I potentially need to unlearn? And some of these things can be things that you have gained over time for experience purposes. Sometimes these could be things that you have learned from people before you, like foremothers and forefathers and things like that. But those things do not always work for us. Um, and so, what we want to make sure that we do is we examine those things and we put things in place to kind of help us learn something better, a better way of doing things. So, that is kind of in a nutshell, without giving it away, what that workshop will be about. So, again, if you guys are interested in joining us this Saturday from 12 to 2, you are still able to sign up. And that link will be posted inside of the comment section. Um, but anyway, guys, so I just wanted to pop on here and talk about do you think you have time? Because at the end of the day, hold on, y'all. I want to make sure that people can see me. If you're able to see me, let me know. If you're not able to see me, let me know. If you can hear me or if it sounds muddled, you guys let me know. It seems like it's working over here on my end, but for some reason, if it's a little bit off, just let me know. Anyway, so yes, again, if you know of somebody that wants to come to the Mental Wellness Sanctuary workshop this Saturday from 12 to 2, they are able to sign up at the link that's posted inside of the comment section right now. Thank you. I'm glad it's working. Okay. And if they need sponsorship for whatever reason, they are just send me a message and I will be able to find a sponsor that might be able to assist them with being able to attend. Of course, you have virtual and you have in person. Of course, in person is always better. There will be light refreshments served as well for those of you that do come in person. So tonight's topic, guys, is something that I want to talk to us briefly about because I think in this time that we're in, there's so much that's going on um, right in front of our eyes, but especially spiritually, right? And I think a lot of times we feel like um, we have time to do things. We feel like we are basically, we feel like we have time to do things. So, I wanted to challenge you guys to think about, do you really value your time? In different seasons of life, Me personally, and like I say, I can only really speak for myself. In different seasons of my life, I could say that I thought that I valued time, but I think as I've gotten older, I have just this new perspective about time. And as I continue to get older and as I continue to mature, especially spiritually, I am learning that when it comes to time, a lot of us waste time and we waste it either knowingly or unknowingly. I can remember personally for me, when I wasted sometimes, most of the time or half of the time, it was directly connected to a fear that I had about whatever that thing was that I was supposed to be doing. So if I give you an example, recently I went back to school and I had a fear of this particular program because it demands a lot and it requires a lot. And I'm like, Lord, I already have a lot of stuff going on. So you're asking me to go back to school, but I'm like, okay, Lord, do I actually have time to do that? And so it forced me personally to take a look at my time, where I applied it, where I was putting my time and saying, hey, Francis, this is probably not a good area for you to be spending time in. Why don't you apply your time to this particular area? So I had just some questions for those of you that are joining us. And even if you're answering or you're looking at it on the replay, I really want to challenge you to see if you actually truly do value your time. And so I'm going to give you a specific set of questions just so that you can start the awareness process about whether or not you truly do value your time, or are you wasting time, and why are you wasting time, those kinds of things. So for those of you that are joining me, if I want you to put in the comments if you feel like you value your time. And Miss Natasha's already put that in there, so thank you. Do you value your time? If you feel like you do value your time, please share with me in the comment section some ways that you feel like are evidence that you actually do value your time. Because I think a lot of times we think we do value our time, and then we find ourselves doing things that are like, girl, sir, you can't value your time if you're doing these things. So do drop it in the comment section if you feel like you value your time. Just say yes, and then what are some of the things that you do that show you personally that you value your time? Like I said, for me, I can only speak for myself. One of the ways that I have learned how to better manage my time or value my time is to prioritize those things that I feel like I need to do on a daily basis. So if I get up today and tomorrow and I'm thinking about all the things that are on my list, prioritize that list and then get whatever I can get done on that list. Now, some people aren't list people. Some people just get up and they do life, and that's just kind of how they do it. But because of all the different areas where my time is being applied, um, I have to do that for myself. So if I think about um, my business, if I think about um, any business partnerships that I have, family or intimate relationships or anything like that, each one of those areas are going to require a certain amount of time for me. Um, and so for me, I think about it collectively. Okay, I got this to do. My child might have this going on this week, and I need to be present for this, or they're sick, or somebody has something else going on. And those types of things I analyze on a daily basis to see if I am distributing my time in the areas that I need to distribute them in. Even when it comes to my personal growth with spirituality, like I try to make sure that even after the end of the day or the beginning of the day, that I put aside time to read, to pray, to do those things, because and for me, it's better done at a particular time. So for me, it's better for me to start my day with prayer and all of that than to end my day, because more than likely, as we know, things happen, the day gets chaotic, people need this, that, and the third, unforeseen events. And so it doesn't always allow us that time that we feel like we had earlier to be able to get things done. So the next question that I have for you guys is if you're struggling with your time, in what ways do you feel like you waste time? Um, I can tell you my time wasters. I feel like I waste time sometimes when I have a whole lot of stuff going on and I am not necessarily, I don't feel like doing it. So I will find something else to do to waste my time. Now, technically, that might be me playing on one of my games or something like that on my phone because it's something that I don't have to think about and it allows me that time to kind of take a break and to reboot. My issue might be is that I take a little bit too much time and before I know it, a whole hour done went by, y'all. Whole hour. The whole hour done went by. That was an hour that I actually needed. So then it throws everything off. Mr. Tasha says she wastes time on social media. I can admit from time to time, y'all, I waste time on social media. And it's not that I'm looking for something in particular. Um, I waste time on social media looking at my next vacation and where I'm going, travel type stuff or whatever. But, a lot of times we do waste our time doing certain things. And again, before you know it, especially with social media or anything on a computer or a phone or an iPad, before you know it, that time is like phew, and you look up and 2 and 3 hours done went by. So yes, that's how I waste time. So if you're listening, just go ahead and put down there in the comment section how you waste time. In a previous season of life, let's put it like this instead of it being a social media type of thing. In a previous season of life, I think, and most people might be able to agree with me to a certain extent, I wasted a lot of time in fear of doing things. And I also wasted a lot of time with things and people. Um, and being in places or old spaces that I knew or I had an inkling, even if I didn't know it right, um, that I knew were wasting time. But because it's comfortable, because it's familiar, or because of fear, or we all have our reasons, but those were mine. That's what kept me wasting time, y'all. And I was still doing important stuff, but then I probably would have been a lot further if I wasn't wasting time doing other things. Um, so the next question that I have for you guys is exactly what I was getting ready to say, which is, do you feel like, and this is just an honest assessment. So this is assessment questions for you guys, by the way. These are all assessment questions just for you to be able to start thinking about how you do time. So, do you feel like you are wasting time with people, places, and things you are not assigned to in this season? I don't know about you guys. I don't know if this has something to do with age or whatever, but I'm in this space in my life right now where I only have enough mental capacity to do the things and to be with the people and to be in the places that I feel like I'm assigned to right now. Anything outside of that kind of leaves my energy expended, and then I have to go back to the drawing board. And a lot of time my drawing board is like, okay, Lord, am I occupying time and space or something like that with something that you have not assigned me to right now? Or am I still in the old season with something or someone or whatever? Because I've always believed that scripture would say, or things that say when God brings you to something, he's going to give you the strength or whatever you need to accomplish it is already within you. So when I find myself mentally expended, when I find myself struggling to get through the things that I specifically know he said that I was supposed to be doing, or I have to be like, something's out of balance. Something, someone, or some place is not supposed to be in my space right now. And most oftentimes, when I go get somewhere and sit down long enough, the Lord will be like, not that thing, or not this person, or not this place. But in previous season, like, yeah, most of us can say that. For those of you that are just joining us, thank you guys so much for joining me. And you're absolutely right. You kindly release those people to their destiny and love and let them go wherever it is that they're going to go. Something I'm learning a lot. Um, Even in this season, it's a little off topic, but it can go with the topic, is that, everything and everyone they're not meant to go with you in certain areas of your life. They may have been there for a specific season for a particular reason. And we have to be okay with the fact that people are not always going to be able to go with us where we desire to go, even if we want that person to go with us to the ends of the earth and back. We have to be okay with the fact that everybody is not going to be able to go with you where you're going. Sometimes it's seasonal, right? And sometimes it's for a lifetime. The only time will tell about that. But I did want to throw that out. Like, we have to be okay with the fact that everybody can't go, and we can't be in certain places, and we can't be in certain spaces, because if we are not mindful, we'll find ourselves wasting time in those wrong spaces, and that does not leave room for the right things and the right people, and for you to be in alignment for the right places. So just be mindful of that too, y'all. That might be a different live for a different day. All right, so my next assessment question that I have for you guys is, how do you feel this has impacted your personal and professional growth? Time is like the new currency. Time is one of those one things, y'all, that once that time is gone, you can't get that time back. The only restorer of time is the Lord. We humans, we don't have that capability, right? And so, as like I said, as I'm getting older, I'm very intentional. I'm trying to be a lot more cognizant with my time, because it's the one thing that you can't get back. Once you done been somewhere and you done wasted time all day, that's just time wasted and you can't get it back. And if we look up and if we're honest, we can go back and look at our life over the last year or the last week or the last few days or hours and be able to say, dang, I wasted a lot of time there, or I wasn't really intentional about my time with that, or dang, I mismanaged my time. And we have to be careful with that, especially when we talk about those nouns, those people, places, and things. Um, Once you spend that time or that energy or whatever in that particular place, that time is gone. And I always say that you can always tell what's important to something or someone because that's where they spend their time. That's where they expend their energy. That's where they do certain things. So, you know, now that I'm trying to be a lot more cognizant of my time, because again, I only got the brain space to be where I'm supposed to be in this season. Um, but I want y'all to think about that. I want y'all to think about time is the one thing you cannot get back. And once it's gone, it's gone. And before you look up this time next year, you'll be in the same spot you were last time if you weren't intentional about your time. If you don't learn how to be a better manager of time or value your time, you will find that you are still associating or being in particular places and spaces that you yourself have outgrown. Um, if you're not careful with your time and where you place that value of your time. All right. And so the last thing, which is not a question, but it's more of something that I want you to just kind of take notice of. And the reason why I'm asking you to take notice of this, and it's something that I do with my clients, especially when they tell me, Miss Francis, I just really didn't have time to do that. And I'd be like, "Mm." So let me give you a little activity, and I want you to just take this activity and use it as a way to help you measure whether or not you are really valuing your time. And so I want you to you don't have to write this down or however you choose to do it, but I want you to take a mental note, right, of the things that you do in a day. I usually have people start off with a day because if I say a week, people get like, oh Lord, I got to do this for a whole week or whatever. But I have them to take down notice of whatever it is that they're doing throughout the day. Even if you did it morning, uh, afternoon, and evening. Now, I do have some of my other clients that are like literal, like at 9 a.m., this is what I did. It doesn't have to be that detailed, but I do want you to take in account everything that you have done morning, afternoon, and evening time. And then I want you to think about, if you could pair it with, for those of you like me that had a to-do list for the day, right? I want you to pair that everything that you did today with your progress on your to-do list. And when you pair that together, it's going to kind of give you an idea on how well you did, like what your grade might be for that day when it comes to your how well did you manage your time, or did you value your time? Were you intentional with your time for today? Most of the time, by the time we do that exercise and we do it for a few days, we start to notice a little bit more about our patterns and our habits and the areas in which we sit up there and we don't value our time. You're going to see it. It's going to start unfolding like a book. And you're going to be like, around this time of night, I am usually scrolling or on social media, or I'm doing this, that, and the third. And so mm-mm, because of that, I'm not able to, I didn't get that stuff done today. And so with this exercise, it is my hopes that you will start to identify your time wasters. It is also with this exercise that my hope would be for you to better plan your time. How can you be more intentional with your time? An example of that will be, like I said, for me, first thing in the morning before I get my day started is probably the best time for me to be intentional with my spiritual time, my prayer time with God. I find that if I am not as intentional with that in the morning, that if I go back and I do it at night, I'm either falling asleep in the middle of it, or my mental is not there. I'm not as in tune as I would. But because that spiritual piece is important for me, I'm going to prioritize that time earlier at a time that I know I'm going to get the best benefit from it, and I'm going to have that be the first thing on my list. And then let's say, for instance, like some of you guys know, I've recently gone back to school. Well, I know for me, trying to read these chapters and analyze these articles and stuff in front of me waiting until about 7:30, 8, and 9 o'clock at night to do it, it's probably not the best time for me to do that, because I'm going to wake up with the iPad or whatever on my chest because I done dozed off or whatever the case may be. So I may choose to, during lunchtime or the afternoon time, to read a little bit more because I seem to retain a little bit more during that time. Um, it really just depends, but that's just a couple of examples to where I can help you figure out how to better value your time. This last piece, and it's not an exercise, but it's just a takeaway that I want you guys to take away with you. For those of you that join me after the fact, welcome to the Mental Wellness Sanctuary. But I did want us to look at time from a spiritual standpoint. On my last live last week, I talked about how when our delayed obedience is still disobedience. So when we have things again that we know we should be doing, and we should be making time to do those things, when we don't make the time to do those things, we're still not making good choices with our time. If you know that you've been called to a particular area, if you know that God has been pulling on you to do certain things, let's try to remember that, like I said last week, somebody's breakthrough, somebody's help, somebody's answered prayers are sometimes right in the palm of our hands, are the things that God has given us that those individuals need. And so at the end of the day, we should not operate in such a way that we have the time to do something. And I don't sit on the side of the computer acting like I have it all together. I don't, when it comes to that, because there are some things that are tied to fear, that are tied to a certain level of maturity or elevation, or levels that we have to arise to. And sometimes we may or may not feel like we're equipped to do that. However, we still have to get to this place where we value our time. And not only do we value our time naturally, but we value our time spiritually, and that we move when we're supposed to move, and that we do what it is that we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do it, especially when God is prompting us to do it. Something else that comes up, if there was a person, and this is kind of extreme, but if there's a person who was on the fence about whether or not they want to continue to live or not, And let's just say that God unctioned you in your heart to reach out to that person. But because of whatever reason, whether you are busy, whether you don't have the best relationship, you guys aren't on talking terms, or whatever the case may be, you decide that you're not going to reach out to that person. And so that person finds themselves spiraling, or they do decide that they don't want to be here. And like I said, this is really extreme, guys, but I just wanted to paint a picture for you. You know, at the end of the day, you may have had those words that God placed on your heart to give that person for their hope, for their motivation, to get them going another day or whatever. And so I just wanted to reiterate that when it comes to time, and it comes to timing of everything, we definitely have to be more mindful of it. And then a flip side of the time is this: when it comes to the things of God, especially spiritually, I know some of you guys may be familiar with Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through, I'll say, 11. But if you haven't had an opportunity to read that, do read that. This is for those of us who feel like we're behind time, or we feel like we've wasted so much time and now we're not in a good space with where we are, or if we are expecting something to happen and it's just not happening the way we want it to happen. Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1 through 11 is such a beautiful reminder that when we do what we're supposed to, and we move, that God makes everything beautiful in its timing. I'm thinking about things that are happening around me with other people and with me personally, and I can remember time being something that I felt like in a previous season that I had wasted so much of, like I said, in fear or different reasons. And um God had me study Ecclesiastes 3 to kind of pull me out of a little sad space I was in, because I was like, dang, it seemed like everything is happening for everybody else around me. This person is going here, this is happening with this person, their business is doing this, and we have to be mindful of comparison, and we'll have a laugh about that at a different time. However, during my review and my study of Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1, he basically laid out this beautiful picture for me that said that everything, basically in a nutshell, to sum it up, because I'd rather you read it than to me tell you about it, everything is made beautiful in its timing. And even when we feel like we might be behind time in something, we have to remember that God is the replenisher of time. That's the first thing. And anything that he puts together in his timing, you best to believe it's going to be lit. It's probably going to be more than what you expected, because his thinking is not ours. He's a great big God, and we know that. So for those of you that feel like you're behind on time, like you done wasted too much time, like time is not on your side, I am definitely going to encourage you to read Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1 through 11. So that way you can just get you a boost and reminder of time. I just shared with somebody earlier Habakkuk 2 and 3. And that one was talking about how, let me go back to it because it came up for me recently. And I want to make sure that I read it to you guys exactly the way it's supposed to be. So Habakkuk 2 and 3, and I know a lot of people are familiar with this because it talks about writing the vision and making it plain and stuff like that. But this was a gentle reminder about God's timing. So it can kind of pair off with Ecclesiastes 3. But it talks about, and it says, for the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. And so, for me, what that said for me, and this is just my interpretation, right? You may read it, and the revelation that you get between you and Holy Spirit might be different. But for me, it said that whatever it was that God said was going to happen, whatever he told you was going to happen, whatever promises he has given you or whatever, is definitely going to happen in its appointed time. Now, this also said for me that I had to do what I needed to do to be in alignment to be able to get whatever that was, right? And it says it speaks of the end of a thing and will not prove false. So of course we know that the Lord is not a man that he shall lie. So whatever he said it. And he said exactly what he said. And sometimes he doesn't give us the process. Sometimes he doesn't give us the in between because he knows us. He knows if we know too many details about anything that he has asked us to do, that we probably going to go the opposite direction of what he has asked us to do. Um, and then the last part of it, it talks about, which I feel like it's saying being patient, but though it linger, wait for it because it will certainly come and it will not delay, meaning it'll be exactly on time. So, with that being said, when I look at it from a spiritual standpoint and I look at God and how He does time, y'all, we have to be really intentional about our time. We have to be intentional about where we spend our time, who we spend our time with, and where we spend our time. So, that is all that I have for you guys this evening for this live. Again, I'm hoping that this gives you an awareness about your time and where you use it, and for you to start this new year off very different with you being um, intentional about your time. Time is like one of the new currencies, y'all. So, again, thank you guys for joining me with the Mental Wellness Sanctuary. I am your host, Frances McMillan, licensed mental health therapist and mental wellness coach here in Jacksonville, Florida. We will be back again next week, Wednesday. And let me tell you guys what that topic is going to be. But I do want to remind you as well, again, for those of you that might have jumped on later on, if you are interested in joining me for the Mental Wellness Sanctuary Workshop this Saturday, January the 27th from 12 to 2, you can sign up for the link that'll be posted in the comment section. It's probably at the very top. Also, just in case, just a few reminders. If you feel like you need a consultation, whether you're not sure if you need coaching, because I do provide coaching, consulting, and counseling, you're more than welcome to schedule a consultation with me, and I can see whether or not you need consulting, coaching, or counseling. And depending on that, we can kind of figure out where you can go from there. Also, for those of you that know anybody that's a registered mental health counseling intern at this time or coming up to be finishing their program and they need a qualified supervisor to supervise them, please let me know, or you can give them the link at the bottom here that Miss Natasha just posted in order for them to click on there for a consultation. I'll talk to them to see if we're a good fit for one another and see if I'm somebody that might be able to supervise them for the duration of their internship and kind of go from there. And then lastly, guys, don't forget because you already know your girl have her stuff, right? So I do have my journals. They are on hand for those of you that are local. So this is Manifest. This is my journal. It's like a self-guided journal to kind of help you guys get unstuck, and it asks you about, things that you need to do, accountability partners. It just kind of helps you create a little plan that would be able to kind of help you move forward if you're finding yourself in this stuck and stagnant place in life. Also, don't forget, I have my book, Mask Off, Embracing Self Care from the Inside Out. Of course, this book, like I've shared with you guys in previous lives, this book brings insight and life to the importance of making sure that we not only heal externally, but we heal internally. So, if you're going to do self care and all that, self care is best one done from an inside out standpoint because whatever's inside of you is going to spill out. And so we want to be able to have overflowing cups. We want to be able to pour into other people and it not deplete things from our cup. And so the importance of that is to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, that we are healing, that we are working through those things um, that have had us broken over the years or have had us feeling less confident or insecure, whatever those things are. And on the cover, it has different masks that we wear, like fear and failure and feeling empty inside. These are all masks. And because of that, we engage in certain things and behaviors or whatever because we feel that way. And so this is something to kind of help you get in down to the bottom of that. Where did that come off? How can we pull that mask off? And how can we just show up as ourselves, as our authentic healed selves to be able to do what we need to do here while we're here on earth, y'all. And lastly, of course, I have my Speak Life into Yourself affirmation cards. Um I don't have very many of these left, but however, if you're interested in getting those, the link For the affirmation cards, the book and the journal are also posted in the comment section, guys. We did go ahead and put that sign in thing for you to be able to sign up if you want to come to the workshop. If for some reason you're unable to pay, I do have people that are willing to sponsor you to be able to attend. So if you would still like to attend, please send us a message. You can send me a message and I will find somebody that will sponsor you. And you'll be able to attend if you know somebody else that you feel like might need to be present for this workshop. And again, this workshop is for unlearning isn't at the faint for the faint of hearts. And again, we're going to be digging really deep, guys, and we're going to be looking at things, whether it's mindsets, behaviors, patterns, um, things that we need to unlearn and put something healthy in place that we can learn so that we can show up differently, so that we can see ourselves differently, all these different things that have not served us any justice, guys, and we need to change those things. Some things have been passed down from generation to generation because that was what we did as a family. But guess what? Those things might not be working for you, and they may not be working for you and your family. So, what do we need to unlearn so that way we can learn a better way of doing things? And keep in mind, the better way of doing things is a personal thing. It's not me saying, hey, this is the better way for you to do it. No, I want you to sit down and figure out what's a better way for you to be able to do this particular thing that you know is no longer working in your life based off of where you are. Um, so that is basically the things that I wanted to make sure that I shared with you guys. Um, I want to say, y'all know how I am about these topics because sometimes I want to talk about certain things and sometimes not sure. But for next week, what I have pending, and I will post it. Um, but for next week, I don't know if I want to do that one just yet. We are in the month of February. So what I may do, guys, is I may go ahead and talk about before we jump into the month of February, talking about ways in which we can always remember to love ourselves more. I think sometimes we love other things and we love other people a little bit more than we love ourselves. And so sometimes we find ourselves on the back burner. Um, and we don't always take the best care of ourselves and we don't always do what we need to do so that we can have that overflowing cup that I mentioned to you guys. And so, more than likely, next week we'll be talking about that. But I got some more topics, y'all, for this year. So I am hoping that for those of you that join me this evening, that you will be back next week, Wednesday. Okay. Um, I'm not going to switch it to 7 until February. So next week it'll be 7:30 again. But do consider that in February I'm going to go from 7:30 to 7. I just think that that works out a lot better for me. So again, thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you guys here live next week when we're talking about ways that we can love ourselves more. All right. Good evening, guys. Thank you.